Now, there's another way to think about this. It's not just shifting the timing of our performance. We might also change our risk-taking behavior. Imagine you're just below your hurdle. Well, maybe take a risk. If it doesn't pan out, well, you wouldn't have gotten your bonus by playing it safe anyway, so there's not much cost. And if it does work out, well, great, you get your bonus. This is a case where not only are you taking a risk, but you might be taking more risk than your organization would prefer that you did. Okay? Or on the other side, imagine you've just crossed over your hurdle. If everything goes as it ought to, then you are going to get your bonus. So now, right, you're going to play it really safe. You're going to avoid risks because you already got your bonus, and there's a huge cost. If things turn out a little poorly, you won't get your bonus. And in this case, well, you know what? Organizations typically need their employees to take some degree of risk. That's part of the nature of business and of government and of nonprofit organizations. So maybe in this case, you are taking too little risk, less than the organization wants. We can generalize this risk story a bit. Instead of looking at those traditional plans that we have before, let's look at just some simple curved lines. Okay, so we'll start with a line that is curved in a way that people in mathematics and economics call convex. It's a convex line because the slope, how quickly the pay rises with performance, increases as performance gets higher and higher. So if things aren't going too well, an increase in performance gives you a little bonus. But if things are going really well, the same increase in performance would give you a much bigger bonus. Okay, so again, this is a line that's called convex. Sometimes we call it upward curving. Okay, but really what it is that it is curving upward at an increasing rate. Now, imagine that we have a pay scheme like this. What are we going to do? It turns out that what we're going to want to do is take a lot of risk. Okay, think about it this way. Here's a point that we'll just call okay performance. It's where you'll be if you don't take any risk at all. This is how good your performance will be, and this is how much pay you'll get. Now, think about taking a gamble. You're going to make a decision. Maybe you make an investment, or you spend a lot of time trying to get a big client instead of a bunch of little clients that are more sure things. What's going to happen? Well, it might turn out really well, in which case you get this really big increase in your pay. Or it might turn out poorly, in which case, you get less pay, but only a little less. So it makes sense to take risk because on average, right, if these two outcomes, the good one and the bad one, are equally likely, and you just take the average of the two, well, we can show that just by drawing a straight line from joining these 2 points and look at how much we'll get on average, and you can see it's much better than playing it safe. We can think about this in another way. Rather than taking risks, we can think, well, what would we rather have? 2 years in a row with okay performance, or 1 year with really good performance and 1 year with really bad performance? This is actually the same problem as the risk-taking problem. In this case, well, we get a huge bonus the year things go well, and it's not that much worse than the okay pay when things go poorly. So we'd rather have a good year and a bad year than 2 okay years. Now let's take a look at a different compensation scheme. This is called a concave scheme. So it's also a curve, and it's also true that performing better gets you paid more. It's just that this time, as performance gets better and better, the extra incentive gets less and less. So if things are not going well, a little bit of improvement in performance gives us a much bigger amount of pay. Whereas if things are going very well, it really doesn't help us that much. So just as the convex incentive scheme encouraged us to take risks and to enjoy a roller coaster of good years and bad years, the concave scheme is going to do exactly the opposite. It's going to encourage us to avoid risks and to have every year be about the same. And we can draw the same type of diagram that we saw with the convex case. So again, this point is okay performance. You can take a risk which might turn out well, or it might turn out poorly. And you can see that you get a little extra pay if the risk turns out well, but it's a big reduction in pay if things go badly. So what are you going to do? You're going to avoid risk so you can just get that okay pay for okay performance, for sure. We can look at this over 2 years. Would you rather have 1 year with good performance and 1 year with bad performance? Well, or 2 years of okay performance? And the answer is you'd much rather have that 2 years of okay performance and okay pay, because that 1 year that you have bad performance, you lose so much money that a year of slightly higher pay for better performance just doesn't make it worthwhile. Now, when you look at these graphs, this might seem a little bit abstract, and you're thinking, who's going to create such a complicated type of incentive plan? Well, there are a couple things to think about. First, note that when we look at different parts of the traditional type of compensation plan that we've been talking about, with all its kinks and hurdles and hurdle bonuses and floors and ceilings, parts of it look a lot like that convex curve, and parts of it look a lot like the concave curve. So depending on where the person is relative to the hurdles and the floor and the ceiling, they have exactly these incentives to either take on risk or avoid risk. Also, there are many types of incentive plans that are extremely convex, and the most famous of these is the stock option. If someone is getting paid in stock options, well, what they're getting is they're getting the right to buy the stock of their company at a fixed price. And so, you know what? If the price goes down a little, or a lot, or really a lot, well, it doesn't really matter. The stock option is worthless, because who's going to, the right to buy a stock for more than the current price just isn't worth anything. But if things go well, then it's a huge benefit, because now you're able to buy your stock for, the $15 promised in the option, and it's now worth $16 or $17 or $18, and you're in the money. Stock options are convex compensation schemes that encourage workers to take risks. Now, a lot of people think risk-taking is bad, so I just want to say this one more time. Organizations need their workers to take risks, and the question is the incentive compensation scheme your organization using getting you to take the right level of risk, or is it encouraging too much risk-taking or discouraging risk-taking and not achieving that need of the organization?